My name is Derek Watts, and I present a light entertainment program on Sunday nights. To be honest, I was scared about buying property. I bought my first townhouse when I turned 40, and here we are another 10 years down the road. Okay, that's not going to fly. But what is true is that I'm certainly not an expert on the subject, and as my wife tells me quite often, it's not all about me. So we have an amazing panel of experts from various sectors of the property market to give us the full picture of what the future could hold and what opportunities there may be despite the pandemic. Jacques.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for this wonderful privilege. Thank you, Elan. Really appreciate this. My name is Jacques Fouché. I'm the CEO and the founder of the Iger Group of companies. It's a company that specializes in helping buy-to-let investors get into the property investment market, and we provide an holistic service to ensure that they can one day become financially free, retire free with property investment, with passive income, and then leave a legacy one day to their loved ones.
Jacques, this is a question that I think might interest a lot of people. What are the key critical components a buy-to-let investor needs to know before they start to build a property portfolio enough to retire on?
And
why does everybody look at me when I say retire? No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's a great question, Derek. I mean, where do I start? There are so many key aspects to build a sustainable, long-term, profitable property portfolio. I think if I can quickly just mention them, people think firstly that it's easy to build a profitable portfolio consisting of multiple properties. It is a very difficult thing, and most people unfortunately fail. And the reason they fail is that, you're almost as strong as your weakest link. And the key critical links, it makes up a holistic process, a strategic, sequential steps that you need to follow in order to build a sustainable long-term portfolio that you can retire with, that you can really derive passive income from, that can replace your earned income at retirement, so that you can really have a great life at retirement, but more importantly, keep that wealth preserved and safeguard that wealth in order to leave a legacy to your loved ones the day you pass away, so that the impact that you can make can far outlive and last your life on earth. So when you die, your property portfolio doesn't have to die with you. I think that is the critical thing that we need to understand. And there are really 10 keys, critical things that I can quickly go through that is critical if you want to build a sustainable portfolio. The first thing is you've got to acquire the skills. But a skilled property investor can build a property portfolio without ever laying one single brick. Now, these are very soft hands. I promise you, I haven't been building a lot. But I think it's all about organizing and also understand where your limitations are and get experts in. The second thing is your team. You need a top team so you can leverage their skills, their qualifications, and understand where your limits are and get somebody to supplement your shortcomings. A team could consist out of a property investment strategist, your financial planner, your rental manager, your maintenance manager, your property. There are so many team members that you need to really get the knowledge from in order to build this property portfolio. And when I talk about a property portfolio, I'm talking about A-grade investment properties below R1 million that you own 100% outright. This is direct ownership where you get the bond from the bank and you own the title deed. For me, ownership and control is critical. A title deed ownership for me is absolutely critical, and I want that for myself, my family, and obviously I want that for my investors as well. The third thing is a plan. Most investors just jump into it. They don't have a plan. They don't know where they're going. So we've created what we call the Iger Wealth Plan in conjunction with our chartered accountants, Iger chartered accountants, and many specialists around the table. We've formulated a specific tailor-made plan for our property investors. The fourth thing is you've got to be, you've got to see your property investment portfolio as a business, and you've got to run it as a business. And that means you cannot do it in your personal capacity. You've got to have the correct structures, the correct asset protective and tax efficient structures. The fifth thing is leverage. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki talks about leverage is how do you take, one property to 5 properties to eventually, buy a hotel, for that one red hotel. So ultimately it's a leverage. You can really, with 100,000 Rand, can buy R1,000,000 worth property portfolio. But we also know that leverage has got a double-edged sword approach. We're not going to be talking about the risks of leverage, but obviously it's not leverage that is dangerous. It is the person behind leverage that is dangerous, the person making the decisions with regards to how they apply leverage within their property portfolio that can potentially be the demise or the success of a very large portfolio. The sixth thing is buying the right type of properties in the right area, also at the right time. And I completely agree with Neil. This is the time to get into the property market, because the bargain hunters is just going to be buying some fantastic properties. What I'm looking at is properties below R1,000,000, where rental income is as close as possible to the purchase price of the property, and where you have a very minimum contribution that you need to make. And you can also insure the rental income. I think that is very important. Most people don't understand that. Just to repeat, I think it was, what are the 10 critical components that make up, a successful, sustainable buy-to-let investment property portfolio in today's economy, but more importantly, what will carry the portfolio through to a legacy so you can leave it to your heirs, your loved ones one day. And we spoke about the things. The number one is to acquire the skills. You don't need all the skills. That's when my life woke up. The second thing, because then I got a top team in, that's the second thing. The third component is you've got to have a plan, a proper strategic plan for how much income do you want to derive at a specific time at retirement, in today's value, and what must that income stream be. So then you make the right strategic moves and decisions today for your future. The fourth thing is the right structures. If you don't have the right structures, you won't have the tax efficiency, you won't have the legacy, and everything will be lost the day that you pass away, and no legacy can be left. The fifth thing is the leverage that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Leverage, double-edged sword approach. You can really do well with the bank's money. As Sean said, 100% financing is absolutely available still for property investors out there. And if you buy the right property at the right price, like we've spoken about, that's the number 6 point, Derek, is buying the right property at the right price, and also then in accordance with your team, with your plan, with the structures that you've set up, understanding what your cash flow provisions must be. And this is where number 7 comes into play, using other people's systems. Now, if you don't have proper systems, you don't have a business. And then you can't run your property portfolio as a business, because it is exactly what it is. It's a complete business, and it should be run with a team, a plan, structures, etc. So we have developed a software program where investors can evaluate and analyze their investment properties to just distinguish between the emotion and the finances. And I think everybody understands that the markets fluctuate up and down. So you need to know your numbers, and you need to have the right tool, the right systems. Also, the eighth thing that's very important is SARS. SARS can be your partner. And if you buy the right type of properties, like new developments, off plan, SARS will give you serious tax incentives and tax deductions, like Section 36 of the Income Tax Act. Yeah. So if you buy in accordance with the Tax Act, and you make SARS your partner, not physically, but letting them give you literally hundreds of thousands back in terms of tax money, you can use that money, that refunds, to pay for some of your shortfalls, to pay towards the amortization of getting your bond repayment down and your ultimate bond. So SARS essentially say that if you buy 5 properties off plan over time, you can get 55% of the capital value back as a tax deduction in accordance with Sections 13(6) of the Income Tax Act. Then number 9 is, once you've bought the right type of properties, you need a rental manager. Now, you might be okay if you have 1 property, but what if you want to really scale? I mean, isn't that really the purpose of why we want to, we want to create multiple income streams from multiple investment properties? And then you've got to have a property portfolio that's diverse and spread geographically over multiple areas. So you're not subject to one province or one economy or one specific, risk. Sure. So that's why these smaller type of affordable properties that we all agree on, and Francois mentioned it, and I completely agree with him, and Neil as well, and very. So these are the type of entry-level properties that are really massively in demand. And remember, the tougher the economy, the more people must rent. So if you're an investor in a fortunate position where you can get 100% financing and you can buy the right type of property, you will find tenants in the right area. And if you're worried about a tenant, then insure your rental income for a very small price. So get a proper rental management agent to manage your property portfolio for you and leverage their systems, leverage their technology. So you can effectively run your portfolio, Derek, from anywhere in the country, and you can have multiple properties in multiple provinces, and you can really, through the systems and technology, have a proper, sustainable buy-to-let portfolio. And I think the 10th and last component is, now you've bought a few properties, how do I scale it? Well, you scale it through the steps that I've just mentioned. It's the skills, the team, the plan, the structures, the leverage, the right type of properties, other people's systems, the right rental manager. And then you will have some equity over time. That equity can be realized through strategic refinancing. And then you can use one property to pay for the shortfalls and the deposits of another property.
Thank you very much. That's really great background information. I think maybe it should go onto the website so we can have a look at it, or our delegates can have a look at it later. To wrap up the focus of what we've learned today, Jacques?
Oh, thank you, Derek. I think I agree with the panel. It was so insightful. I really enjoyed every second of this. I think all South Africans do have the opportunity to now get into the property market. I believe that most people are very worried and very scared. And as Warren Buffett said, when the market is greedy, you've got to be a little bit greedy yourself and try and get into the property market. The belief is, unfortunately, through South Africa, that it is difficult. You cannot do it. I cannot afford it. But the reality is, if you sit down with the top team of experts and you really plan it out, lowest interest rates that we probably have seen in a very, very long time. And I agree with all the guys, the time to now negotiate and to get a great deal has never, in my opinion, been, yes, Derek, it's now. So don't think that you cannot do it. Don't let your beliefs limit your potential and this amazing opportunity that is wrapped around in complete turmoil and a big storm. It is actually a phenomenal opportunity to grab hold of.
Thanks, Jacques. Good wrap up there.